large repertoire of moves. And some of them are on Showcase on Friday, but I've seen him in other matches where he's got some high impact moves, and he's good. He's really good. I mean, he likes to joke about himself because he's got a little gut on him and stuff like that. But the guy can wrestle. He can move. He can wrestle. He can entertain. He does everything that you would want out of an independent wrestler and a guy that respects the business. But it was Joey Janela that was victorious in that match. So, I just got a message from Joe Bellini. He said he's sorry.
Don't look in Joe Bellini's Facebook page, everybody. He has apologized.
He has apologized. Joe Bellini has apologized. I'm going to tell him, let's get on it. Let's see. Let's get on it before I abuse you on the air. You're lucky I don't have your number. I would call you live. Oh my God. We had him on the show a while back, and he keeps bugging me. He's like, "Wow, when are you gonna get me on again? When are you gonna get me on again?" So he's a good guy. I mean, we'll stick with superstars right now, but man, Warriors of Wrestling was nuts, bro. Crazy, absolutely nuts. Standing room only. It was crazy. But Haku was there, and Mr. Haku was part of a 6-man tag, and he was wrestling with Magic, and damn, I forgot who else he was wrestling. But needless to say, Haku's team won. Haku tongue and death gripped everybody, and then turned around and took out his own teammates with tongue and death grips. And then the referee hightailed it and ran away. But
I mean, I'd run away from Haku too. So
the last man standing was Haku. Everybody, including his own teammates, were all holding their jaws and running away. One guy was yelling at another guy that I told you to give him the glazed donut, and so I don't know what happened in the locker room, but apparently somebody.
How was Haku's physique? Did he look like he was in good shape for his age?
I mean, he's not Haku of 1988, but he's he wrestled with his t-shirt on him, but he can move. He can still move. He's still super flexible. He did a couple of kick moves. You can ask Chachi from Warriors of Wrestling. He's got a big scuff mark on his forehead from where he got kicked.
I actually saw Chachi's Facebook page, and he looked like he was a little beat up.
Let me tell you something. I got a warning from our friends Dan and Heather, they're vendors at the show, and they told us that he's notorious and has a reputation of being very stiff. So right away, I'm taking it as like, what do you mean stiff? Like he doesn't move well? And they're like, no, like he hits. So when he hits you hard. And
yeah.
Brandon the Bull's chest, bro, looked like there was just blood vessels popping out of like everybody's chests when he was chopping them. I mean, they were walking back and they were like, they like had heartbeats all over their chest from their throat down to like the top of their chest. It was just beet red and pulsating. And yeah, he hits, and obviously Chachi found out he kicks, but and then there was a battle royal or Royal Rumble type thing. And that was pretty interesting. A little messy at times, but pretty interesting. And Damian Darling was in the house. He teamed up with Tommy Dreamer in a tag team match, and of course they were victorious. So overall, I mean, it was a good night. There was a lot of matches. I think 10. I think there was 10 matches.
Oh wow,
that's a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
There's usually like 6. There's usually 6 and intermission. There was 10 with intermission. So it was a long night of wrestling, but the fans had a really good time, and nobody was bailing out. And for that stupid jackass Facebook page that likes to like bash, they love to bash wrestlers. They if they feel they're not good at what they do, they totally rip them apart on this page. I'm not even going to say the name of the page because I'm not giving them their 2 minutes of fame. They took one picture, one angle of the crowd, and they were like, "Oh, Rob Banner calls this a sellout. There's 70 people here. Blah 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 blah."
I did see that. I can't remember what page it was on, but I do remember seeing that on
page
Facebook.
It's on. I'm not, like I said, I'm not giving them their 2 minutes of fame. They're notorious for bashing people, and they're notorious for being all over Banner and Superstars of Wrestling, which makes me think, and I think I can assume correctly, that either one or numerous admins on that page are probably PWS students.
Yep.
So, because if not, they got some set. They really do. But, of course, I turned around and I said, you're showing one angle. I said, and you're showing the angle of the back row of one side. And according to, the fire commissioner didn't want anybody in the front of the house. Only the DJ was allowed to be there. So there was, I think, five rows of 11 on each side, and on the side going towards the door, I think there were 7 or 8 rows of like 7 or 8. So, and you do the math, it adds up well over 150 people. I mean, I didn't count every, he said 185. I believe him. I'm not going to sit there and count, but it definitely wasn't 70 people. They really, they got really some set. I mean, it just showed that really stupid angle. And Rob went on there and he ripped him a new one, and he told him, he's like, why don't you watch the video? He posted a video, and instead of them admitting they were wrong about the crowd size, they just decided to try to nitpick on the video. And it was just ridiculous. I mean, they're just so stupid. They got nothing better to do than sit there, in the comfort of their couch and try to critique people's wrestling ability. And meanwhile, I would say any of them are probably never going to be heard of in the wrestling business. So.
And Rob Banner's one of the most upfront guys there is too. Like whether he has something good to say or bad to say, like he's going to tell it like it is, though. So
people have had issues with him in the past. The past is the past. I've never had an issue with them. I never had an issue with trust with him. He's been upfront and honest with us since day one. And when he came on the show after him and PWS had the falling out, he's appreciated that since that day. And, we go to his shows. He always thanks us for helping out. He always thanks us for, doing the promotions and the recaps. And you know what? I'm not going to be pressured into saying bad things about somebody. If I'm going to say something bad about somebody, there's a reason why I'm saying it. I'll be, like our shoot shows. There's a reason why we're doing it, because it affects us, in a negative way. Rob helps us in a positive way. He invites us to shows. We get to watch some wrestling. We get to meet his guys. We get to do some interviews. Sometimes we set up a table. Sometimes we don't. And it also opens up opportunity to meet other people at the shows. Other than other wrestlers and stuff like that. Because of a lot of his shows and other shows that we go to, I have that good relationship with Dan and Heather. Like I said, they're a vendor there, and we're going to do some kind of business thing together as well, where they're hanging our banner from their table at their store in the Englishtown Flea Market. They have a store, so that our banner is going to be hanging from their table. So, can I ask for anything more?
Exactly.
So, all in all, it was a great night of wrestling Friday night. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and like I said, it was fun. It was long, but it was fun. If anything, I would say just maybe cut it down a couple matches. I understand, and I respect that he got anybody who came down, he got in. If you came down that night, he got you in, and you got to respect that. You have to. Okay, moving on to Saturday. Saturday marked the 7-year anniversary for Warriors of Wrestling, Joe Bellini's product. And you've been with me on every show that I've recapped Warriors of Wrestling, especially lately. And I've said how the last 2 shows were awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's put it this way. The last 3 shows have been awesome. I mean, not saying all the other shows weren't awesome, but these absolutely step up from all the other shows we've been to with Warriors of Wrestling. And I couldn't even move in the place. I couldn't move. I have no idea how many people were there, but they were bringing in chairs from God knows where. They were bringing in plastic folding chairs they had. Then they were bringing in these metal, look like outdoor patio chairs. Then they brought in these other blue plastic chairs. Then we wound up with these wooden, look like kitchen table chairs. I don't know where they grabbed these from. But, I mean, a good half hour, 40 minutes into the show, another 40 to 50 people still walked in. So
those are the best shows, are the ones where you get so jam-packed in it that you can't move. Yeah, you might be a little uncomfortable, but it's going to be an awesome show.
It's old
it's
school.
going to be live.
That's old school indie wrestling. When you're packed tight and elbow to elbow, that's old school wrestling. That's not.
And I don't want to compare it to ECW, but if you look at the ECW when they were in the Philadelphia arena, like those front levels, those guys were elbow to elbow, like no room to move.
Yeah, and if you remember the first when Raw was at the Manhattan Center. Yep,
exactly.
People packed in on the bottom, all on the floor, and even up on the second level in like the whatever they called that area up there.
Yeah, the balcony area. Yeah.
You had people in like the 5th and 6th row. They couldn't even see the ring, bro. They were in the balcony in the 6th row. They couldn't even see. The only thing they saw was the overhang of the balcony above them.
We don't want to compare indie wrestling now to ECW or vice versa, but crowd-wise, looking at like how people were able to have space and everything, it's totally comparable. And it shows how independent wrestling in general is growing and how that company specifically is really, really on the upswing.
No, they do a good job, and they have a lot of in-house guys that pretty much only wrestle with Warriors of Wrestling, and they do a really good job. I did get to see Dirtbag Dan both nights, Friday and Saturday. He was at both shows. Michael Massacre, he's like everywhere, so doesn't matter where I go. We'll go to Valkyrie's women's program, and Michael Massacre somehow will show up on the card. And
he's following us.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He even showed up in the main event. He was wearing Chris Steeler's tights. I don't even know. I had to leave early because that show went along too. It was. I said I was going to be home at 10:30, and I looked at my watch, and it was 10:30, and they just started the main event. So I was, it was it was a really, really cool night of wrestling, and then I didn't set up a table. I just walked around, and I mingled, and I took it all in, and just talked to a bunch of people over there, and met one contact that we're going to discuss after this. Another promotion that we're going to be going to January 23rd. So maybe you want to take January 23rd off, or maybe January 23rd.
After the holiday season, I can maneuver some stuff around and get down there for sure.
Well, you might want to take the 23rd and the 24th off because this show is 2 hours south of me.
Oh boy! All right, yeah, I might want to take 2 days off then.
Yeah, you might want to just come to my house, chill out. I'll drive, and then crash and go home the next day.
I think that might be a better